and welcome to the Breastplate Prayer Devotional. I'm your host, Bishop Larry Jackson. Today we will discuss the Sinai pattern. In the last lesson, we learned that God desired to make Israel a kingdom of priests, and they couldn't endure his voice when he spoke from Mount Sinai. They had prepared themselves for this encounter and was completely taken by surprise when God descended upon the mountain. In the book of Hebrews, the writer records this encounter and gives information that isn't found in Exodus. He tells us in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 21, he says, "And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake." Even though Moses was attempting to calm the fears of the nation, he was also terrified. And this is interesting since Moses had encountered God on several occasions on this same mountain. He had just left 3 days earlier to tell the people to prepare themselves. And don't forget about the first encounter, the burning bush. So Moses had these relationships with God, but he had never seen this side of God. He had never experienced God at this level. When the people moved away from the mountain and declared they couldn't endure God's voice, they asked Moses to go to God for them. He says, you go, Moses, and hear and come back and tell us what he said. And they said, whatever God tells you, Moses, that is what we will do. Now, this is what I call the Sinai pattern. What do you mean by that, Bishop Jackson? I mean that it's having someone else approach God when access to God is available to you. Declaring that information from God will be listened to and followed even by the one who spent the time with God alone. See, they come back and tell you, this is what God is saying, and this is what I will do, says the people. But rarely do they do that. This is the way most Christians live their lives in God today. A paid professional leader spends time to know and hear from God to instruct the people, when these people have the same access as the leader. This Sinai pattern stopped the plan of God in the desert and has potential of stopping the plan of God in our lives as well. It is great to have good leaders, but they shouldn't be the reason we know and hear from God only. We must be functioning in a divine relationship with God. As priests, we must stand before God on a daily basis, not just for ourselves, but for the people who don't have access to God. So we cannot just wait for someone to hear from God for us. We must hear from God ourselves. God said it this way through the prophet Ezekiel, "For they all shall know me. From the least of them to the greatest of them shall they know me." He says, actually, no man will have to say, know the Lord. I will teach you of the Lord. He says, you shall all know me. The question is, are we spending the time with God alone to know him for ourselves? Or are we stuck in the Sinai pattern? Moses, go here. Come back and tell us what he said. We will do that. So, I'm telling you today, it's time to stand and function as priests and break away from the Sinai pattern. Thanks for joining me today, and be sure to visit my website at bishoplarryjackson.com. I told you I'm giving away a free copy of my book, Guilt-Free Living. Many of you have taken me up on that and have gone there and received your free copy. Now go to bishoplarryjackson.com and you can get yours today. Until the next time, approach the throne boldly. Bye-bye.